Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back. You're watching the Kaiser Report. I'm John, coming to you here with Kaiser to talk to you about a few things that are all good for a change. This past Saturday, I had the extreme privilege of making it through to Asheville, North Carolina, to see the Nutcracker performed by the Asheville Ballet, which has suffered tremendously as a result of the storm that blew through the Asheville area, leaving everything flooded and the ballet studio in ruins, along with all their costuming and flooring and building. They're trying to rebuild right now a space to work in, and in a little bit I'll be putting up a cue thing that you can take a picture of with your telephone and go ahead and donate to this wonderful, wonderful organization that, against all odds, put on a performance this past weekend that was second to none with regard to the holiday season need in that area for some Christmas cheer after all they've been through. Remember back when just a scant couple of weeks ago they had no water and in some cases no power, and they are constantly trying to revive areas that have been totally washed away. In that time of need for peace and quiet, they put on a beautiful performance that was sold out in every show that they had announced. So while we were in Asheville, well, first take a look at this. Even NBC News got onto this. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And if you can donate and help out, you should do that for these people that brought so much joy into a devastated area and made it feel like Christmas for some of us one more time. The devastation was awesome, but take a look here.
There's good news tonight about never giving up, and the North Carolina community devastated by Hurricane Helene bringing back its production of the Nutcracker, insisting the show must go on. The familiar notes, the glittering costumes, these lovely leaps heralding the triumphant return of the Nutcracker. This weekend's sold-out show? Nothing short of a miracle for the Asheville Ballet Company. That's because so much of the city was wiped out when Hurricane Helene hit in September.
This could be the end of how this all goes.
Including the company's rehearsal space, floors flooded and ripped apart, costumes battered, mold growing.
The piano was in the corner.
But its director, Ann Dunn, says while their space was destroyed, their spirit remained strong.
I've never seen anything like this, ever, ever. I thought, I've got to pull this together somehow. I've got to, because everybody needs it. Everybody needs the Nutcracker this year.
The ballet company got to work, dancers and volunteers putting the space back together.
People would show up about a dozen a day and get it cleaned out first, cutting drywall, ripping out the floors.
Rehearsing on weekends in a borrowed studio. Dancer Crystal Foreman's home was hit hard too. Trees down, no power for weeks. But it was the magic and joy of this show, she says, that helped her and so many others here endure.
It took me just saying, like, I'm here, I have a voice, and I have something to share that's going to help, you know? And I want people to come and be like, I can do it.
That show, so important for the Asheville community that every performance this weekend sold out. rightfully so.
How's that for a comeback to where they thought they would never be able to bring out a performance for the holidays, but yet did? So it's interesting at best what nature can do and what man can do to repair what nature has done. And it's through prayer and the grace of God that we were able to even get there, due to the fact that Route 26 bridges were down and out for the longest period of time. It's open to a one-lane traffic going through right now, and they are repairing the bridge damages. And we wish everyone up there a happy and warm holiday season. And thank you, Asheville Ballet, for providing joy in the life of so many that bought the tickets to support this group. 60 years they've been at this. And they were not going to not have a Nutcracker this year. So hell or high water, they came back. So in other news that we're looking at in and around the area, there is a lot of rebuilding going on through Irwin, Tennessee, and places of that nature that were hit so hard. But the devastation on the side of the road going into Asheville through Irwin was something to behold. The power of water can never be taken for granted, and that's for damn sure. No pun intended. So the big news across the nation is that Stephanopoulos is coming up with a $15 million lawsuit that was put on by Donald Trump for defamation of character, and they awarded the $15,000, which will go into, I'm told, Donald Trump's presidential library fund. And he's not pocketing this money. It's going into what would be deemed okay in my book. So Stephanopoulos, Slopanopoulos, whatever you want to call him, his days with ABC News should be short at best now, after being taken down a peg, which should happen to several of the legacy media groups that are out there that are continually lying to us about a lot of things. There are people that are on X and on this particular platform right now, and also True Social, that are not happy with the way this Jan 6 thing went, and no one can figure out why it was covered up and recovered up. And we were called conspiracy theorists if you went along with the fact that maybe something was a little wrong there. They finally came out in the wash that there were 20-some FBI plants in that that had aided and abetted in getting the people riled up to go into this building. And we knew this kind of all along. But the mainstream media led a campaign to tell everybody that it was all Donald Trump's fault, which is not true. They were after and weaponized the Justice Department immediately after the 2020 election to get Donald Trump and keep him down and out so he couldn't run in the next election, and also tried to put him in jail for trumped-up charges, no pun intended there either, but it didn't work for them. Take a look.
Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. So 23 folks for the FBI were in the crowd. And we're just finding that out. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection was broached.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentlemen. And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that the process is rigged, the Democrats are this or that, they're talking about us, but look at what they do. We don't know all the details. It's a report. Justice Department comes out with this. That's not my big issue. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way. Where's the $1.5 billion that was given to the Democratic Party? Where is it? Where'd the money go?
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
You know what I'm getting tired of? You know what I'm getting to the Democratic Party? You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right.
I can feel your anger. It gives you focus, makes you stronger.
I would love to argue with Sean Hannity. How can I? Do you know what Sean Hannity used to do to me when I told him Kamala Harris had a chance? He'd laugh. Like literally, genuinely giggle.
The CNN battleground state polling that we're seeing in Georgia and North Carolina, what's standing out to you?
Yeah, these are our brand new polls that are just out and our final two battleground state polls of the cycle. And what you see, it might be a familiar story to you guys, it's like a dead heat race. I mean, it is a total toss-up.
Trump sweeping all 7 battleground states, lifting his total number of electoral college votes to 312, the most won by a GOP presidential candidate since 1988.
It might be a familiar story to you guys. It's like a dead heat race. I mean, it is a total toss-up.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of all of it. I'm sick of all of it. They've actually made Donald Trump look like he was right instead of them. Think about that.
Come, let me help you.
Interesting, wasn't it? At best, it is the truth coming out, and they cannot any longer lie to us about the January 6th setup. And we know, as citizens of the United States, having watched this for so long, that Pelosi was up to her eyeballs in this, and there is no question in my mind about that. And that should come to light before too long as well. Do you think that maybe things of this nature are what drove people to hate Donald Trump and be so afraid of him taking power one more time, or appointing people that will actually look into what's going on, such as everything that transpired over the 4 years of being lied to by Obama, being lied to by Harris, and being lied to by the Democratic side of not only the Senate, but the House as well, about everything, and up to and including today with these drone sightings that have been seen all over New Jersey and New York now. Even Schumer has spoken up about this, which is unbelievable, because anything to do with the truth is very, very hard for Schumer to say anything. Now, they are coming out in that lying Alejandro Mayorkas on the drones actually had the gall to stand up and tell the American people, us, we the people, that what you see here is not happening. They're airplanes. And we know this and we know that, and there's no worries at all. This is the same Homeland Security head that allowed 20 million people to crash through our border by saying boo, nothing, and then lying to Congress about the reason that it was happening. And every time he opens his mouth, it is a lie. And why he is still in that position and hasn't been fired from it is an indication that he's part of the Democratic cabal that tried to destroy our Constitution and our country. Hands down.
Misgendered 3 times in the past 24 hours at restaurants. Last night, I was at Benihana with my girlfriend, and the server said, "What about you, sir? What would you like to eat?" My girlfriend, God bless her heart, steps in, says, "Actually, that's ma'am."
It's ma'am. It is ma'am.
Flawless victory.
I thought that it was a stunt, you know, when they started busing migrants. They go to Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
It was the smartest thing they ever did.
Well, it's interesting because I have a friend who lives in Florida, and I said, "What did you think?" And she said, "I thought it was great."
Bill Clinton's passed his character test throughout his life and throughout this campaign. And he's shown it through his commitments to real fights. And what he's going to do in this campaign is focus on what's important to the American people, on the jobs and the education. That's what the American people care about.
Why are you supporting someone who's been found liable for rape? Well, actually, what you're doing is defending a man who's been found liable for rape.
I'd like to salute our military veterans.
We cannot buy the fact that they're telling us that these are airplanes, because as a pilot, I'm going to tell you this. Every airplane has a transponder in it. Every airplane in a controlled airspace, such as New York Center, has to show that transponder signal on the radar. And if they're not airplanes, then what are they? Why are they telling us we don't know? This is the government of the United States with all of the power and tools to find out what is flying in our airspace, and they're lying to us about it. Why? Ask yourself why. Ask your senators. Ask your Congress people why, and see if you can get an answer. They're not airplanes. Or we would know that. The FAA would know who was flying in that airspace at any particular time. And if it was a commercial flight, we darn well know that it would be recorded. So whatever they are, if they're drones, if they're alien spaceships, we don't know. Are they spies? We don't know. This is the answer that you get from our government. It is their job to know. It is their job to bring one of these things down and find out who it belongs to. But they have no ability to do that. They have the ability, but they have no inkling of helping you or me or anybody else understand what's going on.
It's showtime.
It's pure drivel that we get out of our elected officials and cabinet members of this administration that is busy right now trying to throw roadblocks in the way of an incoming administration, such as selling off all the border wall material for pennies on a dollar, which is not legal in its own right. But what has Joe Biden or Joe Biden's cabinet done that was legal at any particular point in the last 4 years?
I suppose.
Well, here, take a look at this.
Joe Biden's unprecedented move to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, for any and all crimes he committed or may have committed for the last decade could go down in history as one of the worst decisions he ever made during his presidency. Now, if in the next few weeks he preemptively pardons, say, Anthony Fauci, just to stop Republicans from examining whether the doctor is criminally liable for COVID-19's origins, or lied to Congress about what he knew, that would be even worse. But last week, Biden issued a commutation, not a full pardon, although the result is effectively the same, that is maybe not as incendiary as his decision to pardon his son, but it's no less controversial. Indeed, this individual who was commuted was convicted of financial crimes that are far more serious than Hunter's. Now, I speak, of course, of Michael Conahan, a former Pennsylvania judge who perpetrated the infamous Kids for Cash scheme. Conahan was among 1,500 convicts whose sentences were commuted by Biden. These people had been released from prison and placed under house arrest 4 years ago due to the realities of the pandemic, but they were set to return to prison eventually. CJ Ciaramella, a reporter and colleague of mine at Reason Magazine, writes that very few of these released prisoners have indeed reoffended. And look, if they aren't a danger to the community, it certainly saves the taxpayers money if we don't send them back to prison. But Ciaramella writes that Conahan's crimes were so odious, he should have gotten special consideration by the White House. Now, for those who don't recall this particular case, Conahan was convicted of taking bribes from a for-profit juvenile detention facility. In other words, he was paid to send kids to juvie, even in cases that did not merit that outcome. Teens who appeared in his courtroom didn't get a fair hearing because the juvenile detention facilities were paying him millions of dollars to send kids there. Now, in 2011, Conahan was investigated, charged, convicted, and sentenced to 17 years behind bars. But during the pandemic, he argued for compassionate release on grounds that he was an older man in prison, in danger of contracting COVID, and thus dying from it. So his release was granted, and he was placed under house arrest, supposedly until the pandemic was over. Well, the pandemic is definitely over, but Conahan is not returning to prison. His sentence has been commuted. This news has come as a shock to victims of Conahan's criminal actions. Sandy Fonzo, her son, was sent to jail at age 17 by Conahan, and he later committed suicide. Fonzo is speaking out now, telling the media that Conahan's actions destroyed families, including mine, and my son's death is a tragic reminder of the consequences of his abuse of power. This pardon feels like an injustice for all of us who still suffer. Right now, I am processing and doing the best I can. Well, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro strongly criticized Biden for issuing this commutation. Let's watch his reaction.
So I'll offer these thoughts as an outsider, not privy to all the information he looked at. But I do feel strongly that President Biden got it absolutely wrong and created a lot of pain here in northeastern Pennsylvania. This was not only a black eye on the community, the Kids for Cash scandal, but it also affected families in really deep and profound and sad ways. Some children took their lives because of this. Families were torn apart. There was all kind of mental health issues and anguish that came as a result of these corrupt judges deciding they wanted to make a buck off a kid's back. Frankly, I thought the sentence that the judge got was too light. And the fact that he's been allowed out over the last years because of COVID, was on house arrest, and now has been granted clemency, I think is absolutely wrong. He should have been in prison for at least the 17 years that he was sentenced to by a jury of his peers. He deserves to be behind bars, not walking as a free man.
Good for Shapiro for calling out Biden. It's actually even worse than that, though, because note that in the remarks he just gave, he said at the beginning, well, look, I haven't reviewed all the facts that Biden looked at. But Team Biden is defending the commutation on grounds that they didn't actually look at the specific facts of this case. That's right. A Biden administration official told Politico, essentially, don't blame us. We're not paying all that much attention. Incredible. Now, by the way, what is occupying Biden's attention these days? Is the president staying up to date on the situation in Syria, the war between Ukraine and Russia, the allegations of mysterious drones over New Jersey? Anything? Hello? Do we even have a president right now? Bueller? Team Biden seems to be spending a lot more mental effort and energy on pardons for key friends, allies, maybe family members, than they are willing to exert on practically any other issue. Oh well.
Just more and more every day coming at us at a time we should be celebrating the birth of Christ and feeling good, which we all are. And if you walk out into a city like Asheville that has suffered so badly and see the people that are shopping, Mass General Store was packed. It was a wonderful walking, and all the restaurants were full. You had to wait for a table. These people are trying to make a comeback. If you can get into Asheville, North Carolina to do your last-minute Christmas shopping, go, because you're going to get a helping hand to people who have been shut down and almost put out of business as a result of a disaster that took place that we didn't get any help at all from our government to do that. It's the people helping people that have brought that back all over this United States, whether it's fires, mudslides, floods, and hurricanes. People will help other people before the government will get off its duff and do anything for you. FEMA has failed in these last 3 storms, and we know it now, and we're asking for answers, but we're not getting any answers to these things that are so important to the happiness of the people in those areas that were massively destroyed by nature. But FEMA needs to be questioned and questioned deeply about some of their methods of handling these storms. And don't tell me we don't have any money. We're protecting the border in the Ukraine that is more important than the border in the United States, according to the sitting administration that we have. And we are spending money to rebuild Africa, $1 billion, and other places that have nothing to do with us. We have our problems here, and we have our infrastructure problems here that need to be addressed. The incoming administration has recognized this, has talked to us about this, and now we have to fight in the Senate to get the picks for the cabinet that will effectively make a difference. We're going to fight with them now because the 4 or 5 Republicans and the Democratic side will not make it easy to get these people certified and in the position that Donald Trump has appointed them to. So if you have a phone number for your senator, call and tell them what it is that we voted for and remind them that they work for you and you don't work for them. But they're spending our tax money everywhere but where it is needed in our own country for our own citizens. And it continues every day. But in this festive season of Christmas and Hanukkah, we are very, very thankful for the way the election ended up, and we're looking forward to a 4-year resurgence in what America really is, what it means to be an American, and what it means to be the shining light for the rest of the world. In democracy, our republic will be strong again. And if I could do the dance, I would do it. But I'm sitting down and it's difficult to do. But the Trump dance is awesome. Even the football players are doing it. So I hope your weekend was as fun and as peaceful and happiness-filled as mine was, because that ballet gave me hope for the rest of the 4 years that we're going to face now. We have hope, and we do have change on its way, and they're fighting tooth and nail to stop it, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be easy. The job ahead of the new cabinet and the new president, Donald J. Trump. So let's pray for him, and let's hope that everything goes according to the way it should. And God bless Donald J. Trump and his entire cabinet pick, along with Elon and Vivek and the rest of his picks. God help them through the process that they have to sit through now. So in other news across the world is, I guess, it's been a little bit quiet this weekend on the Syrian thing, but the big news across the nation is this Luigi that killed the CEO of United Healthcare, and where he's going to be extradited, and that New York is trying hard to get him back there. I believe that it should be a change of venue out and away from anything to do with Alan Bragg. They've already got a high-powered attorney to defend this guy, like there is a defense. They have linked now the gun that he had with him to the shell casings that were left after the man was killed, and it's a positive. So we have the evidence, but I'm afraid that the crooked Alvin Bragg and crooked judges in New York that set through the phony trials that they tried to put a past president through, I don't trust them as far as I can throw them, and that's not a good situation for anyone that is looking for justice out of Alan Bragg. So they're liable to screw this up, and I think the venue should be changed away from his jurisdiction. Anyway, just my thoughts. The man is an accused murderer and should be treated as such. The GoFundMe pages that these idiots put up to try and get him money for his defense, I don't understand that, and I don't understand how people can be cheering on the fact that a man lost his life, a family is now without a father and a husband, because this jackass decided to make a name for himself. And if the media had a backbone, legacy media would not be showing his name, his picture. And what in the world is wrong with the women of today that are writing letters and all this other stuff about how handsome he is? Have you seen this guy? Come on. He's going to probably go for an insane defense to keep out of jail and go to, a facility where they deal with that. But we don't know. We'll watch and see what happens. I don't feel real good about it, and I don't feel real good about the deck of playing cards that they're talking about coming out with, which each card has a picture of a CEO of a healthcare company. This is just promoting more weak minds to pick up the gauntlet and and do damage to people and end people's life and families. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it should not make any sense to you. But this is the way life is today, and it's almost a crime, if you think about it, in itself, to be spreading hatred that will end up in taking a life because a weak mind picks up the signal that there have been chosen to go do something as horrendous and as heinous as this coward that shot that man in the back has done. Enough on that. So we have a week leading up to a great holiday. I hope all your Christmas shopping has been done and has been in hand. I spent yesterday wrapping all of the grandchildren's presents and family presents, and was feeling real good about having a happy holiday, much better than it was last year, as far as the tension in the air has dissipated somewhat. We're going through the three phases of, anger and remorse, and now the hatred, and it's dying off because no one is listening to the leftists anymore that are just hell-bent on telling you how bad you are because you voted wrong or you didn't go along with their idea of what you should call them, and so on and so on. And I don't want to get too much into that weed because it'll take care of itself at this particular juncture, I believe. And God is back in the world and back in this country watching what we do, and be aware of that. Pray often for the needs of this country and the people in this country that are in need at this time of year. If you have the wherewithal to help someone less fortunate this beautiful holiday season, please do. Especially those folks in Asheville and around that area. And don't forget the Asheville Ballet. They're in need, and they have come out and done a wonderful job this past weekend against all odds, so don't forget them. And as we go through this week, it's going to be a busy week here at the Kaiser Report because we have not only my birthday coming up that the family wants to get together for, but we're going to have an early Christmas with some of the kids that have other families that they have to be with at the same time. So we're going to do an early Christmas for the little ones anyway. So we'll be busy this week. We have my wife's office Christmas party coming up, and we'll enjoy the rest of the holiday season with you here every day on the Kaiser Report. And please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and comment and tell us what you think. And to all, we'll be back here tomorrow, Tuesday, with what is currently the news. And we'll keep our ear to the ground on any changes that are going on within our government, within our drone problems and things of that nature. But we'll keep you up to date as far as we can research of what's true and what's not true, and we'll get to you with that. God bless, and remember, stay safe, stay strong, and stay tuned to the Kaiser Report for your commentary and little tidbits of news and some visits around Appalachia that we'll film for you in the upcoming weeks, especially around the Christmas season. Maybe we'll get out and look at some festive places to be on Christmas, and we'll get it to you. So God bless. Bye-bye now. See you tomorrow.